Kansas City could lose 2 of its major sports teams after Jackson County residents voted a resounding no to the joint stadium upgrade proposals for the Royals and the Chiefs. So, where do we go from here? What's going to happen next? We're going to try and get through that with you guys in this face-to-face video.
Yeah, the first, and I say the biggest question is, will they leave? I mean, that's the question. Are they going to continue with what they said throughout the entire election process, which was, we are not staying here in these stadiums as they are? A perfect example is the Royals made it very clear that by 2031, when the lease ends, they will not be playing at Kauffman Stadium. So the big question is, are they actually going to leave? And you know, what are some of the options available, not only in the surrounding metro, but even outside of this metro? You know,
yeah, so
other states.
I think that's definitely like the biggest question going on everybody's mind in Kansas City right now is like, are they going to leave? We're panicking. I know I'm panicking. I know you're kind of panicking. I know everybody in KC is panicking. They're worried. They're curious. You know, there's options. There's a lot of options. I mean, you know, the first one that comes to mind for me personally is a move to a place like Kansas. You know, it's close, same city. That's like a reasonable one, the most reasonable one. And I'm assuming a lot of fans, not only in, you know, Kansas City, Kansas, but even in Kansas City, Missouri, are probably like, hey, that's an option as long as it keeps the team here. But yeah, I mean, it's a confusing time for fans, for Chiefs and Royals fans right now, and really just Kansas Cityans, because like having a sports team is part of the identity. It's a big deal, and it would be, God, it sucks. It would just suck to lose that part of us.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, the big thing that's been kind of a resounding message, not only on social media, but on like some of the local radios, is when you lose these sports teams, if you lose these sports teams, what is your identity? I mean, there's a lot of comparison during the campaigns about like why to vote yes, of being like Kansas City is just Des Moines and Omaha with a professional sports team, right? I mean, obviously that's not the case, but it's I mean, but what's the identity, right? I mean, the question is, what is your identity as a city? I mean, barbecue. That's a good one. I mean,
fountains,
sunflowers, fountains. That is the big one. It's you know, I get it, right? I have no issue with the way that the vote went because I get it. Like I don't agree with giving billionaires free money. I mean, I don't like it, right? Especially when people are struggling, and there's a lot that's going on in the world today. So I understand that concern. I think though, the hard part to quantify is how much economic benefit is the community gaining from these sports teams being there. You know, if I'm spending $3 for $6 in return, then that $3 is worth the investment. But it's hard to quantify. I mean, I know, you know, we were kind of discussing before the vote happened, right? That what was it? John Sherman said that he estimates $250 million a year in additional revenue for the new entertainment district he was going to build. And I think there was an article that came out. Of course, the Taylor Swift effect made a difference, but the Royal or the Chiefs brought in about $1 billion of estimated economic benefit into the area, and you know that's hard to quantify though, because it's not like it's just dollars that are going in there, but it's the addition of events of things not leaving, right? Like there was announcements of the Big 12 tournament staying in Kansas City. You know, a lot of us would love to think that the Big 12 tournament is staying in Kansas City for basketball because they just love Kansas City and the atmosphere around it, which of course is true.
But
how is that? But how is that exactly? I mean, like, how is that atmosphere built up?
Yeah,
it's built on the backs of devout sports fans, and that fandom stems heavily from the Chiefs and the Royals. So those benefits that are gaining from that. I mean, the World Cup is coming, right?
Yeah,
and no one can tell me that the World Cup would be coming here if we didn't have a professional sports, you know, complex like the Truman Sports Complex.
Yeah,
I just don't think that's possible.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, a lot of people, if you ask now, like if Kansas City, hey, you know what, Kansas City, have you heard of Kansas City? Like everybody's immediate reaction is Chiefs. All right, Mahomes, Chiefs, Royals. Like it's a real thing, and it is a real reason why we are getting, like, you know, we got the draft of last year.
Yeah, the draft,
while we're gonna get, you know, a game and FIFA, the World Cup coming here. Like it's a big deal, and look, this is the thing. Like it's hard. I don't want to sit here and ever back a billionaire. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to sit there and be like, you know, some of me is kind of like, damn, you know, I wish the Yes would have won just so we could.
I know
keep the
we
teams.
sound hypocritical. I know we do.
Yeah. It's like you want deep down, like you don't want to lose the teams. So like you kind of scared, and it's a little fearful when like the Yes officially doesn't win and the No wins, and then you're kind of like you're just, it's up in the air, and like that's the scary part I think for everybody in Kansas City right now.
We need to take a step back real quick on what you just said.
Yeah, no, I got you.
You said the Yes vote losing and the No vote winning, obviously.
Yeah.
I think we need to reiterate, it wasn't a win or loss.
Yeah.
It was an ass whooping.
Yeah, it was a blowout.
I mean, it was a blowout. It was a 12-0 score in soccer. It was the Broncos against the Dolphins this year. I mean, It was not close. I mean, 17% in politics is not. It's mathematically impossible to even quantify how far away that is. It's just unreal to think about how badly the Yes vote was. That now we're seeing speculation of, did the Chiefs really want to pass the Yes vote? I mean, are they thinking that these conversations that we're having right now, and some of the insight from people I've been talking to are saying, are they kind of thinking that a move to Kansas is the best situation for them? I mean, let's be honest here. Clark Hunt, every single year, goes to SoFi Stadium. Every single year, he goes to Allegiant Stadium. He sees these beautiful, brand new stadiums that are built.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you come back to Arrowhead, which has its history, right? I mean, he's real big about history. He doesn't change the jerseys, real big on what his dad did, and that's great. We love that. But is part of that just because of him not wanting to spend so much money into investing for a new stadium and kind of, let's see where that useful life goes, right? I mean, like, let's be honest here. There's one thing about this yes-no vote that a lot of people aren't real talking about. The Royals committed to a 40-year lease term with the new building, which was going to match the length of that tax.
Yeah.
The Chiefs only committed to 25 years. Now, listen, 25 years is a long time.
Yeah.
But it's very clear that there is an extent and that we can see Arrowhead going to, and nothing past that is going to keep that thing running with renovations. I mean, 25 years, I would think, is a fair assumption to say that a new stadium was going to have to be built no matter what. I mean,
yeah,
a new tax could have been coming there. I mean, a lot of things can change in 25 years, right? But it's just important to mention that, because I think it shows where the teams were thinking.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point too. Look, I don't want to be all conspiracy theory in this, but like it is, you have to wonder. I mean, like with the commitment of, you know, like, yeah, like you said, 25 years is a long time, but I mean, like Royals going for 40. It's like, hey, we're here and we're here to stay.
And look at the money they put in. I mean,
that's the thing. That's the biggest difference.
I mean,
is like we haven't
shows so much.
Yeah, I mean, like Clark Hunt was the worst graded owner in the NFL this last year because he hasn't put money into the team. He hasn't put money into the facilities.
And he only committed $200 million to this vote. I mean, you're looking at the Royals' personal investments by themselves. Now, listen, again, not loving giving money to billionaires, but they're going to invest, what, $1.3 billion plus cost overrun. I mean, they were committing to a cost overrun, which is, I mean, truthfully, I was doing some research before this conversation here. That is the best proposal I have ever seen in this modern day, private investment and public money.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're talking about like possibilities right here. We're talking about, you know, a little bit of like, hey, maybe there was some writing on the wall. Maybe the Chiefs were kind of trying to say, look, we're trying to do something different. We are trying to kind of maneuver our way somewhere else. Like there's a chance, right? And that happens. But like, look, I think we should talk about that part of it now. Like, what are the possibilities? Like, where could the Chiefs go? Where could the Royals go? What could be fixed? Like, could the Royals go to the original plan? And I'll let you kind of update some people on that.
Yeah, I would say the first piece of this is really going to be, I think, the Royals discussion, because when you look at like a doom and gloom standpoint, I think the Royals is really where it gets scary.
I agree.
I mean, Quentin Lucas, mayor of Kansas City, Missouri, has had some interviews and some social media messaging about this. But there was an interview he had on 610 Sports Radio that I think was very key to this concern, where he himself said that he was concerned about the future of the Royals in Kansas City. I mean, he was concerned. Now, he doesn't believe that it's over yet. He thinks that there could be another vote that you can move forward with, which, listen, I think that that's a possibility too. But when your mayor is showing that there's a little bit of concern going forward, I mean, that's worth noting. I mean, we're talking about a very optimistic model here. The mayor has continually posted on social media and in messaging how excited he is about the future of the Royals and Chiefs in Kansas City, and then comes out today in this interview stating his concern for the future of the Royals in Kansas City. Now, that being said, he mentioned, and then a lot of people have been mentioning, what really I think is the best option. That's the most important thing we need to discuss, is they got to break up. The Royals and the Chiefs are having a breakup right now.
Yeah.
No more combined, no more joint. You can't. It's not going to work. We all know that they were on, kind of riding the backs of the Chiefs' success and hoping that was going to be what pushes the yes vote over. 17 points isn't going to be made up because you win a few games, right? The Royals could be in the running for the World Series. You're not making up 17%.
Yeah, I don't think it would have happened even if the Royals were super successful right now. Yeah,
exactly. So they got to break up. You have two real viable options within Kansas City still. Listen, we know that the Crossroads plan was last minute, but the Crossroads plan still had a lot of great possibility with it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of concern that I shared, that we didn't get a lot of the plans about how much exactly was going to be spent in certain areas. I think there's a lot of questions even up to voting of who's going to pay for the park. They had a nice little park area, and it didn't seem like that was going to be in the Royals' plan to pay for. At 1:30 on April 2nd, the day of the freaking vote, we find out from the Royals that they just agreed to the purchasing of all the land and how, in principle, what that would be. So they waited literally till the last day for that. But that being said, if there's some fleshing out of this plan, I think the Crossroads site is really a great site. I would still say, though, that my favorite site that they showed was the East Village. I mean, that site was great. The East Village does have some areas that could use some upgrades to it. It would be great to see the East Village have this investment. But frankly, I think the East Village plan was just set better. There was Bob Fesco from 610 was mentioning how he was in meetings for the East Village plan 2 years ago. I mean, this was the most fleshed out.
I did not know that. Yeah. Wow.
I mean, the most fleshed out plan was the East Village, and whether it was politics or
we're going to say politics. We could just leave it at that. It was probably some politics. There was
probably some politics that led to it. There's some rumors going around. Feel free to do your research yourself on what those rumors are.
Yeah, we'll stay out of there. We're going off of sources right now.
It may or may not involve the Kansas City Star building, and it's sitting and being dilapidated and wanting someone else to bulldoze it. But I'm just going to leave it at that.
Hey, sources.
Sources, yeah. Not gonna say any more than that. But yes, there was some questions about why the Crossroads was chosen, for the reason it was chosen, with the East Village being such a fleshed out plan.
Yeah. With the Royals, I think the most viable option, staying in KC and KC, Missouri is probably East Village. I agree with you on that. I think look, they're gonna have to reinvest in this plan. They're gonna have to reinvest in their campaign, and kind of win the hearts back a little bit. But like we don't want the Royals to go anywhere in KC. Like a lot of people don't. That being said, is there places that you could see the Royals going to like right away if it doesn't, if it's not KC? And we have to talk about it. We have
the Music City Sports Commission is look it up. It's Nashville's attempt of bringing a Major League Baseball team to Nashville. It'd be a downtown stadium. They've picked out 3 sites already. I mean, it is very well fleshed out.
Yeah.
It's a little scary.
Let me ask you a question real quick.
Ahead,
Let me ask you a question real quick, because you said bring it downtown. What was the biggest thing John Sherman has said recently about the Royal Stadium?
Yeah, so the reason I mentioned the East Village and the Crossroads place as really the area for Kansas City, like I'm not knocking Clay County. I think the Clay County proposal was a great proposal too, and don't get me wrong, they could go up to Clay County for that as well. But I think John Sherman, when he bought the team 5 years ago, said in his, I believe it was his first interview, that he envisioned downtown baseball for the Royals. Downtown baseball. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that there was a lot of viability getting the Royals over to Kansas. I think there's some sites where you could even put them if you did a joint bid with Wyandotte County and Johnson County. I'll talk more about that a little bit later. But it all really kind of hinges on, does John Sherman want downtown baseball more than he wants to stay in this local area?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that. Nashville, again, gives you that downtown baseball. Salt Lake City is another place that has been kind of vying for it.
Yeah.
They don't have as heavy as a vibrant downtown as Nashville, but it's pretty comparable to Kansas City. They could definitely put a nice downtown stadium there.
Definitely comparable.
Yeah. I mean, really, Oklahoma City, great place to put it.
Yeah, also
I mean,
comparable.
you've already got the Thunder down there, so you've already got it,
they're trying. They want more.
Utah, yeah.
Yeah, both those cities definitely want more major sports. I mean, like they do. And like that's the thing kind of with all this the Royals talk especially is like as Kansas City people, like we don't want to lose a major sport team. Like, first of all, it looks bad. It really does. Like, it's going to deter from other sports teams coming here. And like, if you talk to a lot of people in Kansas City, like we would love to see an NHL team, an NBA team. Everybody's like always talking about that stuff, but you got to retain what you have right now. That's the biggest goal right now. And going forward, that's got to be the biggest concern. And with these other teams, like Nashville's especially like one it's scary because that feels very real.
Me. That feels more than real. I mean, they have it set so well on how it would work.
Yeah.
And let's be real too. This bill and all this private funding and investment, I don't know if that investment is just for Kansas City. I mean, if John Sherman can go to Nashville with $1.3 billion of private investment, I mean, yeah, they'll give him the whole 3/8 cent tax just for the Royals. I mean, you're talking, they could get $3 billion to play with. I mean, I think it was said best and also worst by Mark Donovan. Mark Donovan said afterwards at the kind of at their speech when they talked about the event and the vote and how it failed was, this was the best offer we gave Kansas City. And a lot of people scoffed and laughed and listen, I laughed too, right? I thought that the Chiefs renovation plan was a little bit of a joke. It was just really to help the VIPs and the people that are willing to spend a lot of money on
the wealthy people. They want
exactly.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. But when you really look at what he was trying to say, he's right. This wasn't, when he says this was the best deal for Kansas City, he meant this was the best deal for their wallet. This was the cheapest deal. This was the deal where you were not spending any more money than what you are currently spending. 3/8 sales tax. It's only going to get more expensive from here because you're going to have to compete against other areas. The perfect example I've been hearing is Jackson County had the Chiefs and Royals franchise tagged, right? And they were going through this whole negotiation period during the franchise tag. They couldn't get to it. They played on the franchise tag. Boom. And now you're a free agent. I can go negotiate with anyone. Would I prefer to stay where I'm at? Sure, there's comfort in that. But I go where the money leads me too. I mean, these people aren't billionaires because
they're billionaires for a reason. All right, they want the money and they're going to go where the money's at. All right. So we've talked Royals. You brought up Mark Donovan, Chiefs. I think this is the one that for most people is it's going to grab more attention right now. As much as you could be a Royals fan and a Chiefs fan and love baseball, the Chiefs are the team that's on top of the world right now. They're the face of the NFL. You have the face of the NFL on your team. Like, you got back-to-back Super Bowls. This is like the big deal, right? So, with the Chiefs talk, like, what's your biggest thoughts on the future of where the Chiefs could land? And Does it feel? I know we kind of mentioned it, but does it feel as doom or gloom as the Royals?
No. I would say, to answer that last question, no. I would say that it almost seems, I don't want to say impossible because anything can happen, but it almost seems so unrealistic to believe that the Chiefs will be anywhere but the Kansas City metro area. And the reason I say that is just because of the media market. Now, listen, we are considered a small market area. However, the Kansas City market is consistently the top viewerships for all NFL. I mean, playoff
it's been
games,
like that since
Super
we were
Bowl.
bad. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
We have a consistent viewership market, and the NFL would not want to risk having this market be flushed away from wanting to watch football.
Which, happened in St. Louis. I mean, like, that happened in St. Louis. I mean, look, the difference between kind of that and this one would be like, hey, St. Louis at least had us to go to, right? Like, we were another Missouri team. We were close. I wouldn't necessarily say they like that. I mean, like, I imagine there's not a lot of St. Louis Rams fans that are LA Rams fans, all right? Like, it could be a thing, but it's, you know what I mean? Like, fans don't just follow necessarily. Like, there's a lot of hatred there, and there's a lot of disrespect. Look, you're not going to get people to stop watching the NFL, but it's going to be hard to maintain this market if we lose this team.
The years after the Rams left St. Louis, the Rams were struggling for building their own identity, right? Which, of course, they're trying to do so in LA. But St. Louis ranked at some of the lowest viewership after that happened. Fun fact, St. Louis is now towards the top again, likely because, the Chiefs have been good, Mahomes is there, and those Rams fans have now reignited their fandom in the NFL with Patrick Mahomes. But does that happen if the Chiefs leave? And I don't think so. The owners have to make the vote on this, right? And I don't think you can get 31 other owners to agree to this.
I agree. And look, it's going to be tough, kind of just to predict what's going to happen. But like, I know we've talked about it a little bit. Like the consensus would be, hey, you got the same city and the state right next to you, moving to Kansas, staying in the metro area. Look, like, give me a little bit of insight on that. Like, what do you think? Is there anything like in the grapevine that's kind of saying, hey, this is going to happen? Like, do you have any quote unquote sources that are maybe giving? Look, we're not. We have a few. We've heard some things, right? Some grapevine stuff.
Some things. Let's just say that.
Yeah, let's look. That could get going real quick, and let's maybe talk about why we think that can get going real quick.
Let's just say this. Some of the Kansas officials would be very excited to quickly jump on board with the Chiefs coming over here. And that doesn't just mean local officials. There are some state legislators and even a few federal legislators who have already been working to kind of get the Chiefs to come over.
I mean, this has been a thing kind of for a while. Look, Kansas has been kind of wanting this to happen for a while. Do they have the money in the funds for it? Like, that's the next question, right?
So Kansas has wanting this to happen for a while. That's why sports betting passed. So a lot of people don't realize this, but when Kansas passed sports betting, the law required 80% of all the revenue made from sports betting be set aside into a fund that is used to specifically drive the appeasement for new stadiums and new professional sports teams within Kansas. So they have been literally planning for this. They have been setting up to bring over a sports team, right? I mean, if the Chiefs and Royals didn't come over, maybe it was an NBA team, right? But,
something. Yeah.
But the thought was that it was potentially going to be the Chiefs after this lease expired. So right now, that's sitting at about $5 million per year, right? And over the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot of money. However, the way that they set this up is they set it up as a long-term investment, the way that we were doing with the sales tax in Kansas City, Missouri. So the Kansas City, Missouri was saying $2 billion from the 3/8 cents sales tax, right? So they were getting the money up front to the Chiefs and Royals, and we're kind of paying it back with that sales tax. It's very similar with the way that I would assume that we would do in Kansas with the sports gambling money. That $5 million per year would be spread out over 40 years, and then would give you $200 million to quickly give the Kansas City Chiefs for the initial investment, right? $200 million ain't nothing when you're talking about a brand new stadium. I mean, listen, we've seen the estimates for a brand new MLB stadium. What was like $2-ish billion for that entertainment district? I mean,
it's gonna be more for NFL.
You're probably talking $3 for an NFL. I mean, it depends on what they're building with it, right? Because you're gonna have to do the training facilities. And these are massive training facilities too, right? Like this is a whole nother stadium basically.
And it's also, this is a big deal. Training facilities right now have been a big deal on this team, so you're gonna want something state of the art.
Exactly.
So you're talking about the finances. You brought in the 200 million. Is there like an upfront amount of money you think that Kansas can provide? Right away.
So
okay, all right.
So 200 million. That unless I've misread the law, they should be able to give that 200 million upfront with that 40 years to them. Where you really get the money though is with Laura Kelly's surplus. So Laura Kelly came into Kansas and has created a 2.6, I believe is what it is, $2.6 billion surplus in Kansas. I mean, we're talking when she started, we were in the deficit by like 1.3 billion. So she has created an incredible surplus. And without much voting, it's been reported that she could give $1 billion like that. I mean, on her own.
That's incentivizing. If I'm Clark Hunt,
she wouldn't need to have anyone vote, and she could give $1 billion. Now, so now you're talking about what, $1.2 billion right now that you could just immediately offer without a vote, and that's not even considering the star bonds. Kansas is one of, I believe it's 3 states in the country that offer star bonds. And what star bonds are, for people that don't know, is that they are, it's upfront money from the state to the entity, which in Kansas, it's meant to bring in tourist entities. So it's upfront money to that entity that is paid back with the sales tax produced by that entity. So, for example, we're at about $1.1-ish billion in star bonds that have been released by Kansas. Now, this has been since 1993, so it's been 30 years. So it's a long time you've given that $1.1 billion. But the most money that was given was to the Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas Legends area, Village West, which has received roughly $800 million of that $1.1 billion, with a lot of that going to Sporting Kansas City. The T-Bones, which it is what it is.
Speedway.
And then the Speedway.
Yeah.
You're talking about 3 massive investments that were done for sports teams. So star bonds calculations is a little bit wonky. I've tried to do some of the math on it. It's hard for me to even know what exactly would be eligible for star bonds, because there's a lot of eligibility requirements to it. I think a good example was they use this there's like a bid section that shows kind of some of the construction and architecture and land acquisitions and for a project and kind of the breakdown of it. And it was $130 million for this project. Out of that $130 million, there was $35 million that qualified as eligible project costs for the star bond proceeds. Out of those eligible project costs, only $29 million of it was able to be used as star bonds. So I don't know the whole setup for that. There are people that are way smarter than me that do that. But if you assume you can get $30 million off of $130 million, that it's not crazy to think you could get $1 billion off of off of $3 billion. I mean,
Well, look. Okay, so long story short, the the money is there if
Yes.
Kansas wants to do it, and
for sure.
and they could upfront offer it, and they could look. This is like we said, like this is something. It seems like it's been kind of in the works, and you kind of don't know with a little bit of conspiracy of like what was Clark Hunt trying to do, what was he trying to pull. You know, you get like a little bit of that on both sides here, and it is kind of seeing like we're getting a picture, like we're getting a formation of the Chiefs potentially coming to Kansas, and staying in Kansas City, but just moving to the Kansas side, which like look, this is we're talking best scenario if they were like, we're not staying in Kansas City, Missouri. This is best scenario if you're a Chiefs fan.
Yeah, I would.
In the Kansas City area. And like, look, they have the money. We talked about it. The Kansas has the money. They have the land and the location. I mean, look, around the Legends, there's a ton of stuff there still you could build. I'm not saying that's the best spot, but like we know they have land.
I would say that would probably be the spot you look for if you're the Chiefs. And listen, we've talked all about this, and let's not even count out the ability for the Wyandotte County and Johnson County to potentially even do a bi-county agreement. I mean, there could still be some hotel taxes, liquor taxes, maybe even a sales tax in there where they could do a bi-county agreement and maybe get both the Chiefs and Royals. I mean, anything's possible.
That'd be ideal, right? Yeah. Like, look, we try to go through a lot of stuff for you guys. All right. We try to go through some of the scenarios that most likely could happen. And some of them, look, they don't sound great. Like if you're a Chiefs fan and you're a Royals fan and you're a Kansas City person, like they don't sound great. But some of them, like they sound a little promising. And this is more so like the positive side of it, right? Like there is possibility here that if they leave Missouri, we could still keep this team within the Kansas City area. All right. Yeah. Is it on the Kansas side? Sure. Okay. Is it going to affect some people? Some people might get pissed off about it, whatever. It doesn't really matter because the goal is to keep the team within Kansas City, to keep both these teams within Kansas City, because that is your identity. That is the reason we're getting so much publicity. That is the reason we're getting a FIFA, game. That's the reason we're getting Super Bowls. I mean, look, we're getting the draft. We're getting a whole bunch of revenue and money. We got to keep these teams here. Like that's the goal. You got to be okay with whatever happens as long as they stay within this general area. All right. It's going to suck either way for some people, but this is the ultimate goal. Right. And losing a team to a different state, look, it'd be devastating. As a fan, it would be absolutely devastating. But as a city, it would be devastating. And as an identity, like we talked about, like it would be devastating. But this is the most success we've had in a very, very long time, forever. I mean, all time for really both these teams. I mean, like, yeah, I know the Royals was 16, 17? 15, 16. Like they had, 14, 15, whatever. We had a few we went to
I know you're not a baseball fan like I am.
I know, but like, and then we got the Chiefs that are just amazing right now, and like, really, look, we're trying not to be doom and gloom. We're trying to be positive. We're just trying to lay out scenarios for you guys, right? And what we think could be the potential of what could happen in the next few years. I mean, look, when is it? The lease come up? 2030? Is it 31?
Lease ends in 2031, and I think when everything you've said is 100% correct, and I think I'll end with this, right? Do your research on what could potentially happen, right? I don't just take everything we say with for granted, with a little grain of salt, but be realistic about what could potentially happen too. And if you think that Clark Hunt and John Sherman are just going to give a better deal to Jackson County, I respectfully, I think that's a little delusional because the billionaires are not going to lose more money when there's other opportunities out there. So just be prepared.
Could be wrong.
Yeah,
could be wrong.
Yeah. Anything can happen, but
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. Look, we're at the point now where like the possibilities are endless, and this is what's so scary. And like we kind of started this off like, hey, it's a little scary being a fan right now. And we're gonna end it with like, hey, it might be scary, but look, there is possibilities. Like try and think positive about this. There's a good chance we can retain both these teams still, or keep them within like the same city. I mean, look, there's possibilities. Yeah. And we really just wanted to share that with you guys. All right, we wanted to share that yes, there's a chance that we could lose both these teams. There's a chance we could lose one, keep one. There's a chance we could keep both. But like in this video, we really just wanted to share that with you guys. Have a conversation. Talk about some. Look, he knows a ton about this stuff. All right, I had to get Jeffrey's insight on this. Look, and he's the man for it. All right, look, this is our channel. We run this channel. We talk Chiefs. We want to bring. Well, really just KC in general, but we want to bring all the information we can for you guys, and whether it's positive or negative, you got to get it to you guys. That's the point. And I'm glad we were able to have this conversation, Jeff. I'm glad we were able to break this down. I'm glad you were able to break this down for us.
Charles, it's been good. We've been talking about this for a bit. I appreciate it. Let us know below what your guys' thoughts are on this. Is it going to be the Nashville Royals and the Kansas Chiefs? I don't know.
I don't want to start a fire right now. I'm going to stay positive. Let's just keep them both in Kansas City. Whether that means Kansas or Missouri, we'll see. Let's just keep them both in Kansas City.
I like the way you think. Well, thanks, everyone. I appreciate the time. Don't forget to like and subscribe.